Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection
profession is a work in progress. What?
Nope, not yet. I am your host, Sam, and alongside me, as always, is Football Jesus. Welcome to your congregation, sir.
Yeah, it's good to be here, to be representing the congregation, you will. Those that follow are those that succeed.
See that you've taken the black this evening.
Yeah, I figured nice little design change to fit what our viewers will see. Like they'll see. We'll see.
Yes. And then of course we have the QB coach. How you doing, Jess?
Good. I'm tired. I just got done baking like 48 whoopie pies.
Why were you making whoopie pies?
There was a competition at work, and I have to win the competitions. So
I'm aware of your competitive nature. Of course, alongside me is my little insider. How you doing tonight?
Tired.
He's tired too. Everyone's tired tonight. Speaking of Tarek, we miss you. We hope to see you again next week. Sit up, Samuel. So, talking about people who are tired, I mean, the Carolina fan base, you look, they fired another coach 11 games in, fourth shortest tenure for a coach ever. And that includes the one-day Bill Belichick at the Jets.
what about Matt Nagy?
Matt Nagy has been around.
No, when he was the head
games.
coach. No. And when he was the head coach, in Denver.
Matt Nagy?
No, who got fired last year in Denver mid-season?
Nathaniel Hackett.
That's it, Hackett.
That's what it is.
Hackett. He was fired mid-season, so I don't know, at some point. And then there was the Indianapolis Colts that fired theirs before the season was over last year, I think, or was that off? Whatever, either way.
Either way, I mean, the discourse in Carolina has got to stop. It's bad for football when you have an owner who is overriding your head coach, your entire coaching staff that you meticulously interviewed, hired, whatnot. You spend your salary cap on average at best players like Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, Hayden Hurst. And then you spend a ton of capital to trade up to get a rookie quarterback to pair with your QB whisperer head coach. And you don't even give him
one in the first place.
Yeah, he didn't even want him in the first place. But you don't give him a full season, which we've gone on and on about this show, about new head coaches needing more than one season to put staffs in place, schemes in place, all those sorts of things. So I think the owner of the Carolina Panthers needs to either go hands off or sell the team because Carolina is worse with him there.
This sounds really familiar, though, with like Jerry Jones being overly involved and the years that Dallas does really poorly. And then people always ask that question, does Jerry Jones need to back off? Does he need to get his hands out of all the pots? He's hiring this person nobody agrees with, or what? And then what, the Dallas Cowboys come back and then nobody says a word. So maybe it's just because he's relatively newer at coaching or at owning this team. Maybe it's going to take a while. And maybe what he's doing is like a foundational build.
I'm not going to lie.
Messy, though.
I'm not going to lie. Jerry Jones does need to back out off of that team quite a bit. He can't be GM and owner at the same time. His heart cannot be the deciding factor. As far as David Tepper goes, I mean, he's owned this team since 2018, and they haven't had a winning season since he started owning the team. He's had 5 head coaches. Matt Rule, of course, paid him all those buku bucks and fired him after year 3. He owed him $63 million and just fired him. Gone. The current coach, Frank Reich, I mean, 11 games. This is kind of reminiscent of the Browns back when they were hiring and firing coaches every year. But they were at least giving him a full year. Jimmy Haslam. Not Jimmy Haslam. Is it Jimmy Haslam? I think it's Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Browns. Pretty bad owner. And I'm wondering if David Tepper is, taking cues from his contemporaries and not giving his team enough time. Now, I don't know what he can do to make this better. I don't know what he can do to make his team better. I don't know that he wants to step back and give them the space that they need to thrive. I mean, what can you do?
It's bad.
It's pretty bad. And then, of course, they gave up so much draft capital to move up to get Bryson Young.
The incorrect quarterback.
Yes. So they don't have a number one.
I fully expect like an ESPN 30 for 30 where he like put the wrong name in the envelope or something to come out in like 50 years, but
Nice.
Well, speaking of
Terrible choice.
the standings and how things are starting to look, let's move on to our standings and see how bad it's gotten for this guy.
Who's this
Now
guy?
in dead last.
Don't.
What?
Don't what?
just
Don't poo-poo on him.
No, me.
Oh.
let me
Not
just
this guy.
waft.
He had a great week.
Serious?
The air is so
12
fresh
and 4
from up
last week.
here.
That was awesome.
Excuse me.
12 and 4 was great. Give me hit.
I got
fist bump.
101 to 79.
That's your overall for the year, but last week you went 12 and 4, so you're gaining ground. Give me a fist bump.
But
The air is so
my
fresh and
overall
so
is
clean.
101.
I am aware that you're
I guess
over.
you're not used to it, Brady.
Like you got more
No,
than
but
that.
I try and help my constituents.
Why?
Reminder text about checking picks and lineups. But sometimes you can't keep up with greatness all the time. So
It is hard to take advice from a team that has a losing record. But
what? Hold on. What?
the season is not over yet.
Right.
I need to make a.
And guess who doesn't have a losing record?
According to that, I don't have a losing record either.
Have you ever been in second place for these picks?
We don't talk about the past. We're
Or
talking about
above?
I'm in 5th place.
Yeah,
That's all right,
but you're
Sam. You're
climbing
doing
up.
great.
You're doing great, buddy. Well, this is a very unfamiliar territory for me. I've never been this far down.
Well, any given week, Sam.
I was about to
It's
say,
true.
given we're all right there, one bad week, one good week. I mean, look, Tarek jumped 2 spots in 1 week, so
He did 13 and 3 is an amazing week.
yeah,
That
he
was,
crushed
yeah.
it.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's go to our games of the week. We're going to start with football. Jesus, give us that gospel, sir.
These are 2 teams that are much maligned based on their past, but their current and present is looking pretty bright. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos against the Houston Texans as my game of the week. And shout out to Tarek. He has stuck with this team through a couple of bad years. But for some reason, Sean Payton was able to put it all together after week 6, and they have rattled off 5 straight wins.
I thought you were talking about his love for the Houston Texans.
Oh no, that's a secret. It's a well kept secret. And it's not really based on the strength of their offense. Their defense has been playing really good. They're playing as close to like what we call old school defense as you can. They're making hard hits, they're getting takeaways, and they're stopping people on 3rd down. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans, we all know they've been the laughingstock ever since essentially Matt Schaub left that team. I mean, they kind of were when he was there too, but they were at least somewhat competitive. And now they're kind of having a resurgence. I mean, the last 2.5 minutes of their game last week against the Jaguars, that crowd was into it. The offense was driving. The defense was making plays. Like, this team looks revitalized under DeMeco Ryans as head coach. So, with that being said, I have picked the Houston Texans in this game, but I think this game is going to be extremely close because for whatever reason, Sean Payton has given the keys and Russell Wilson has figured out what door those keys go to. but there's just something with CJ Stroud that he is able in those crunch times to put those drives together and put that team in a position to win games. And credit to Matt Amendola, he missed a 58-yard field goal by a yard or two. And then they unfortunately, waived him this week because their kicker's coming back. But CJ Stroud drove down the field, gave them an opportunity to get back into that game. And I think the exact same thing is going to happen this week. So I have the Texans by a field goal.
So I actually have the exact same pick by a field goal. I think it's going to be a really good game, which is shocking for me to say because again, these two teams last year not so much. But Denver's on this crazy winning streak that no one expected to see. And the Texans have started to figure out how to run that like last minute comeback. And I'm hoping that they can incorporate that into the rest of their game a little bit better, get a little bit more efficient on third down, and hopefully no really bad like missed field goals or anything like that this year or this game. So I'm picking the Texans by 3.
Who did you pick in this game there, buddy? You gotta use your words. The Texans?
The Texans.
The Texans. Okay. I think it's going to be a clean sweep here, at least for the people that are here. I have the Texans as well, and I believe in that quarterback that the Panthers passed on, C.J. Stroud. He has been doing great things down there. He has got the second most passing yards in the league so far this year.
Well, he's also thrown it to Tank Dell. Tank Dell's been doing pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Their running game, not so much, but because they've had to pass the ball all over the place. It's probably why he has the second most passing yards in the league right now. As far as Denver goes, I think a lot of their success is predicated on their defense. Their defense has held games low. They've kept teams from scoring touchdowns. They've kept teams from getting high scores. Quite frankly, during this stretch that they won, 5 games in a row? I don't think their opponents have broken 25 points in any one of those games. And it has given the Broncos a chance to stay in games, keep games close, and pull out those victories at the end. It's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than Houston's used to having. But I think Houston comes out with the victory. Maybe, I'm going to say 20-13. So we'll see what happens. Let's get on to our next game of the week. Jessica, what do you got drawn up for us?
So this week I picked one of my favorite teams to watch, which is no secret, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's basically a rematch of the NFC Championship game, I think, last year.
Yep.
And which was that the one where, oh my gosh, Brock Purdy ended up coming in and it was like
Brock Purdy was injured. They had to bring in Josh Johnson.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like he got hurt. I thought he got hurt in that game, and then they brought in Josh Johnson, or did they start him? Anyway, so I think at this point, like I know I had said in my picks that I was picking the Eagles. I am going to flip that. So San Francisco seems like more of a complete team in general, and it worries me that the Philadelphia Eagles are constantly playing comeback. They're both great teams. I think it's going to be a bit of a revenge game. Brock Purdy is a super efficient passer, and he's got a lot of weapons. And the Eagles tend to have an issue dealing with on their defense, dealing with good rushers and like the tight ends and any offensive weapons that are of scale, like Christian McCaffrey. So I'm a little bit worried about the Philadelphia Eagles looking disjointed this week. I think their offense will do really well. I think their defense will have a hard time. And I think San Francisco will look like they're, on their A game. So I'm taking them by 7.
I'm going to agree with her. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers. Last week, the Eagles and the Bills played in essentially a torrential downpour for 4 quarters, and they went to overtime because the Bills were able to run the ball and somewhat effectively pass when needed to. And the San Francisco 49ers do that every game. They run the ball well to set up their short passing game They're not going to take the top off with guys like, a Stephon Diggs type, but they'll hand it off to a Deebo Samuel, which is just as good without the potential of throwing an interception. So I think San Francisco is going to win this game based on the strength of their run game and the fact that the Eagles aren't very good at taking large chunks of time off of the clock, forcing the Niners to throw. I do think this is going to be a close game because the Eagles, for whatever reason this year, seem to have that proverbial horseshoe and are able to squeak out wins, no matter how impressive, against all of these teams in the last second. But I think their luck runs out this week. I'm going with San Francisco by 4.
Hey, who do you have in this game there, little insider?
Eagles.
Do you want to give us a reason why?
Because they're epic bots.
Epic birds.
Wow.
Yes.
He's not wrong.
It's hard to argue that logic. San Francisco going into Philadelphia is going to be a hard task for them. Coming east from San Francisco in a rough stadium against this Eagles team. However, the Eagles haven't blown anybody out. They've kept just about every team in the game, which is how they have that one loss. I'm pretty sure it was definitely unexpected, their loss. Quite frankly, San Francisco has the defense to capitalize on the mistakes that the Eagles are going to make. This is going to be a high-scoring game. Brock Purdy's going to show out. Look for Deebo Samuel to get a couple of touchdowns. And quite frankly, I think San Francisco catches the Eagles on a good day, and San Francisco gets the win here. I'm going to say by 10 points, just because it's
salacious.
The luck has to run out at some point at Lincoln Financial. Quite frankly, that knuckleball last week was a little I was hoping it would miss.
Yeah.
But, oh well. San Francisco by 10. Now, let's get on to our next game of the week. My insider right here. What is your game of the week, bud?
Well, it was Falcons versus the Jets.
That's right. Tell us about this game.
So I picked the Falcons.
Dirty Birds, gotcha. Go ahead.
Because they they are legendary birds just like the Ravens, but got out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Legendary Birds
You
like the
got
Ravens.
lose
Got loose.
because we won you.
Well, I agree with Sammy. I'm going with the legendary bird Falcons in this one. Jess and I were talking about this game earlier. The Falcons defense statistically is much better than anticipated this year. And we all have sat through too many New York Jet primetime games without Aaron Rodgers. So for those reasons, I'm going with the Falcons. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game. I think this is going to be one of those games where the first 10 things on the scoring sheet is going to be like fumble, interception, pick six, fumble return for touchdown, sack, punt. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be good, but Falcons, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
By how much?
Oh, 6.
6.
6.
9-3 is going to be the final score of this game.
Oh God.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't want to watch this one. No, I think it's gonna be a pretty terrible game, but I am taking the Falcons as well. The Jets, first of all, their offensive line again is just a horrendous, disgusting mess. And with that and the Atlanta's defense showing up, I think that they're going to have a bit of trouble. They already have trouble with their quarterback situation, and then imagine, they only have the solution with their running backs, which they're not going to be able to really utilize as much. So I think the Falcons are, they're bringing some people back, they're getting healthier, and their defense is showing up enough to win this game. It's going to be ugly, and I'm going to take them by, I'm going to say by 10.
Bold.
It's still going to be a low scoring game.
10-0.
Like
You know what's
13.
funny? I look at this game and I see wacky stuff happening. I see Browns, Cincinnati Bengals from like 7 years ago, where both of them had like 3 wins combined and they scored 56 points each. This is going to be one of those crazy games where they both score over 30 points. It's going to make no sense at all as to how that happened. These teams are terrible. They're not good teams. But I see it happening just because Sauce Gardner is probably going to be covering Drake London all day. But I still see it happening. I still see it being one of those crazy games. I have Atlanta in this. I have them winning. I'm going to say by 5. But
to mix it up.
Look for the score to be like 35-30. It's going to be weird. Okay.
You think it's going to be that high?
Yes.
You mean like
Wow.
very weird?
I think it's going to be just one of them weird games that just inexplicably is just there's scoring everywhere. And the defense is scoring, the running back interceptions and fumble recoveries for touchdowns. It's just going to be crazy.
If there's a running back interception, I will give you $20.
Yeah, just so you know, the Jets have only scored 7 touchdown passes this season, and they average 14.8 points per game. The Falcons average 19.4. So it will be an abnormality for them to score above 20.
But the year that the Ravens won the Super Bowl the first time, they had that amazing defense where they pretty much shut everybody out. The final week, they played the Jets. Jets scored 30 points on them.
Oh, yeah.
So these things happen.
Why we love football.
Yep. All right, now let's get on to my game of the week. Since Tarek is not here, I have taken on a game of the week, and I'm going with the Thursday night game, the Seahawks against the Cowboys.
Of course.
Yeah.
Honestly, I looked at all your games, and then I was like, you know what? There's not really a lot of other options. So I picked the only other game on the slate that had 2 winning teams playing each other, the Seahawks against the Cowboys. Quite frankly, the Seahawks... offensive output last week was actually pretty good. DK Metcalf was all over the field. He was hard to cover. Tyler Lockett has struggled a bit catching the ball recently. They haven't gotten him going in the passing game right now. The Cowboys have Deron Bland on their team, who has returned 6 interceptions for a touchdown. I mean, it is a current season record for most interceptions returned for a touchdown in a single season. Yes. He said it last week.
Okay. On Thanksgiving.
Yep. I was going to say, because I know Geno Stone leads the league with interceptions, or he did at least, but I guess maybe not for touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not for touchdowns.
Not for touchdowns.
But this is going to be an interesting game. The Cowboys all year, they haven't beaten a team with a winning record yet. They've only played 2 of them. So this is going to be a change for them. We're going to have to see if they can beat a team with a winning record, a team that is currently projected to make the playoffs as the number 6 seed. Got the Cowboys in this. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Thursday Night Football kind of tends towards the lower side. So I got 23-20.
I don't think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I do think the Cowboys are going to try to keep their home win streak going. What does worry me a little bit is I don't have any doubt about Tyler Lockett. I feel like, he might have had like a low game, but he's a super reliable dude. And then DK Metcalf playing his head off. But the thing that worries me the most is that Seattle has lost like 3 or 4 of their last games. And so I'm at this point waiting for them to just come out and show up like they were in the beginning of the season. I think it's going to be actually pretty good game. I think they're going to challenge the Cowboys, but I do think the Cowboys are going to take the win in this one, with a more high scoring game than you seem to think.
The only real problem I saw with this game is that Seattle has absolutely no running game without their starting running back. They played the 49ers on Thursday, the Thursday night game last week, and couldn't run the ball. Granted, it was the 49ers, but still, you expect a guy to, break at least, a 5-6 yard run here and there when the refs miss a holding call, even if holding happens on every play. And Dallas has kind of been on fire recently. I mean, now granted, it was the Commanders on Thanksgiving, which, they're probably the most equipped team to win on Thanksgiving because we all know, as I predicted last week, the Lions are now 0-13 on waxing gibbous moons on Thanksgiving. So I personally don't see this game being very close. I think the Cowboys are going to take this by 14 because I think, unfortunately, Geno Stone, or not Geno Stone, Jess has got me all mixed up. Geno Smith, his star is going to start to fall. I mean, they're going to lose to the Cowboys this week, and then they have to go right back and play San Francisco again in San Francisco next week. So I expect this to be kind of the beginning of the end of the Geno Smith era in Seattle. Next slide.
Hey, who do you have in this game?
Well, I picked the Cowboys again.
He did pick the Cowboys.
Because they got more points.
They do have more wins, absolutely. And quite frankly, I think that bodes well for the Cowboys. Every time he's picked them, they've won.
Sam, don't pick them.
What?
Don't pick them.
Don't listen to him. All right, now let's get on to it.
Supposed to win.
Let's get on to our pop panel pick'ems.
What do you buy our book?
Concepts.
Incorporated.
Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. More than just a sign shop. Catch them up in Westminster right now for all of your sign and decal needs. Let's take a look at who picked who. Only 2 people picked the Tennessee Titans, and not gonna lie, it was a hard pick.
Also, are you changing yours?
I was just about to say, hearing that Jonathan Taylor is probably going to be out for 2 weeks. Now, granted, Zach Moss is no slouch at running back, but he is no Jonathan Taylor, and
I have him on your fantasy team when he's on a good team. This year?
I have Jonathan Taylor, yeah.
No, Zach Moss.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he is a slouch when it comes to being a running back sometimes.
He has 676 yards before he got benched for Jonathan Taylor when he came back.
It's true. He was leading the league in rushing yards for
and
maybe they have a really good offensive line. Weren't they supposed to have one of the best offensive lines?
They're supposed to, but they don't this year. I think, honestly, him coming off the bench he's going to be rusty. So that is one of my few picks that may change this week, depending.
Keep it.
Let's move on. Now, I am the only person to pick the Cardinals.
Toss up for me. Definitely a toss up.
It was a bit of a toss up.
I don't know. They got shellacked last week, but we know how teams bounce back after a shellacking. But still, that Pittsburgh defense, man.
Pittsburgh defense, but that offense is putrid, man. They can't score 15 points to save their lives.
Well,
but they're getting better.
Average like 17 or 18, but yeah. So the thing with the Cardinals for me is they are that team that they will lose 8 in a row and then they will kill somebody by 40 points, and it's you never know. And if it's going to happen, this might be the week, but I don't think they would crush them as much because of their defense being so good.
And not in Pittsburgh, not in a cold month. That's so much going against them.
Cold month, but the temperature is supposed to be above 40.
It's a cold month when you're getting hit by a guy that's 260 running 15 miles an hour at you, trying to kill you, and TJ Watt.
Oh, please! Most of these players come from northern colleges anyway.
Don't care. It still hurts.
And then, of course, Tarek is the only person to pick the Broncos to pull out that victory and continue their win streak.
But not out of the realm of possibility. I don't think that's him being a homer.
Absolutely. It absolutely could happen. All right, let's move on. Jessica said she was going to be switching her pick from San Francisco to San Francisco from the Eagles. Perfectly fine. That was also one that was really hard to pick.
Yeah, that's probably going to be like the game of the week, but
And
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
nobody believes in PJ Walker in Cleveland.
if it's Joe Flacco,
Oh,
which there's potential, I'm
it's not just
maintaining
that though. It's Miles Garrett. Didn't he hurt himself?
he is hurt as well
Yeah, so that's a big one for me.
That is a big one, yeah.
because the Rams have no left tackle. So yeah, it's there's a couple of things going into that game to keep our eye on, but Miles Garrett and who is the starting quarterback? Because now, granted, PJ Walker is the one that let the Browns beat the 49ers, who we all think are, arguably the best team in the NFC. So, not saying that PJ Walker is a slouch, but I think Joe Flacco's ability to, throw the ball.
Joe Flacco's not only like his ability to throw the ball, but his experience for sure. Like even watching him on the sidelines, they were talking about how valuable his insights were because of his experience as a winning quarterback. And I feel like they would give him the best chance to win, even after just being there for a week. But he knows Cleveland, right?
He does. He's been there, I think, before. Once or twice. Quite frankly, yeah, I think if Joe Flacco is playing, I think the Rams still win. Just
It's
I don't
really
see
Miles
him.
Garrett because
Yeah.
Matt Stafford won't have time to move if Miles Garrett's going against that offensive line.
Yeah. So we'll see if my Miles Garrett comes back. All right. And then of course clean sweep on the last games. Nobody believes that without what the heck is his name?
Nobody thinks Browning's gonna do it.
Nobody thinks Brownie's gonna do it.
The one thing that stuck out to me last week for the Bengals is you have a backup quarterback come in and you give the ball to your running back 5 times? Like
Yeah.
what kind of game plan is that? It just shows to me that I don't know what to do without my, big expensive shiny toy of a quarterback that is Joe Burrow, but you have a former Pro Bowl running back standing right there. Just hand it to him, see what happens. And then you set up the play action to your 2 really good wide receivers that are out there. Don't just throw the poor kid out there to frickin' die. But I don't know. There's no shot. No shot.
And they were never down by a big margin, making them have to throw the ball.
That's what I'm saying. I sat through that awful game waiting for something to happen because Pittsburgh's offense is putrid, but they just refuse to give the ball to Joe Mixon. So maybe that'll change this week, but I don't
But
think.
if they were playing a worse team, then I think it would matter more if that they were going to correct that and change it. But the fact that they're playing the Jaguars, I feel like the Jaguars, they're not like the best team, but they're too good to still lose to them, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Just like Sammy said, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell me how amazing my hair is. Tell us how far Jess is going to fall in the picks because #Jexit is alive. Tell Sammy how cute he is. Tell Sam how cute he is. I don't care. Leave a comment. Like, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I'm Football Jesus.
I'm Jessica.
Who are you?
Sam.
And I'm Big Sam. And you
And you
have a great football week.